For our cross-legged butterfly, we need to be super comfortable in an extended butterfly. And when I say super comfortable, I mean super comfortable. The reason being that in order to get into this position, we are now going to be moving our leg and probably our hips in order to set this shape up. And what that does is add extra strain onto your muscles and make stability a lot harder. So I recommend this is mainly for people who are working towards Ayesha or have Ayesha. And as always, crash mat spotters, listen to your body, take your time. Because of the cross-leg nature, if we're not careful, we could fall out of this in quite a nasty way because our leg is going to be trapped potentially in a bit of a dodgy position. So I really do expect that you wait for some help if you're not 100% sure. Now, if you're very comfortable in your Ayesha and you can like do all the different shapes and you can move your legs into different positions and you're going to work on your INX, you might be okay. But obviously it's your responsibility to keep yourself safe. So if in doubt, get some help. Very, very important. And the bare minimum always is a big, nice, thick crash mat. Okay, now there was something else I was going to say and my mind has gone blank. This is happening a lot recently and I don't know what's wrong with me. Oh yeah, that's it. So if you've got an extended butterfly, the actual mechanics of how to get into this position are quite simple. But as I always say, simple doesn't mean easy. There's still a lot of strength and stability needed for this position, as we've previously said. And there are a few different ways you could potentially get into this position as well. So I'm going to do a general breakdown where I just break down the key points. We're then in detail going to look at the different options for positioning the body and for threading the leg through, and then we'll go for left and right. But for most of you, there's going to be like a little bit of an experimentation happening here to figure out which way of bringing the leg through works best for you. Okay, so I can't help you with that one too much because I'm not there, but some of it has to do with body proportions and skill sets and flexibility. Okay, so hopefully you can figure out what will work best for you. And as always, if you are struggling, film what you're doing so I can see and I will give you some direct feedback. That's why I'm here to help. Okay, let's go for it. So I'm just going to invert into my extended butterfly. Now there are a few different ways to set up your extended butterfly. Whether you've learnt via me or someone else, go with whatever you're comfortable with. So we're going to go up and into our extended butterfly. At this point, make sure you're just watching. Index finger down the pole, head down, bum up, into that extended position. Now I'm just going to take my back leg. I'm going to thread it through and I'm going to hook it over my top leg, sticking my bum out and arching my back. To come out, I'm going to unthread, and for today, I'm going to hook, reach up and straddle down. But you could come down out of it many different ways because you can go back to crucifix. You could step out of it. Be careful with that because your legs are kind of tangled. I'll show you that maybe at some point in this tutorial. You could go crucifix, you could rehook. You may have seen on social media a video of me taking this to a slightly Russian layback position and then flipping down. I don't know if I'm going to do a tutorial for that. In fact, the kind of, not a precursor necessarily, but the most common form of that kind of a flip, I actually removed that tutorial from the platform because I just don't want the responsibility of people doing those kinds of skills at home without an instructor. So even if I put a billion warnings, I can't trust you motherfuckers. And I get it. I used to do some insane shit training alone at home and I was very happy to take responsibility for that. But I still feel like I have some level of responsibility here. So I've actually removed that one. So I may not do a tutorial for that one. Too risky, too many things can go wrong. But yeah, you can, if you've done that flip before and you can see what I'm doing, you could copy that too if you wanted to, off your own back, off your own responsibility. Okay, so let's take this from a standing position so you can see. In fact, actually, one more thing to do. So there are three kinds of positions technically. I mean, technically there's a billion different positions we could use when I'm talking about the leg position in your extended butterfly, but there are three main positions that we can do to set up our extended. So one will be with a foot quite high from the hand, one's a little bit closer, and one is foot practically on hand. Now you can use all three of these extended butterfly positions to do this trick, but which might suit you better is going to depend on your own anatomy, your limb length, your flexibility. So before we go into details on how we're going to bring the leg through, I just want you to try your extended butterfly in those 3 positions. And ideally, in order to do this particular trick, you should be able to do all 3 without any major drama. If you can't, that is a sign that you may not be strong enough in your arms to support yourself in this trick. So it's a good test of whether you might be even ready. So let me show you what I mean first, and then you can give it a go. So when I teach extended, because it helps for Aisha, I do it with the foot quite high. My foot is quite high from my top hand. Then we could go a little bit lower. That's kind of your second position. Let me turn myself slightly. And then the third is like the foot really low. I know I'm doing a weird thing with my back leg. I'm kind of like bringing it in to move my foot down. That's just because it's hard to slide on the grippy pole. So yes, we can be like quite far from our hand. We can be sort of midway, we can be practically touching. There are benefits and negatives to each of these positions, and different positions will suit different ways of bringing our leg through. So pause the video if you need to. I just want you to go and try that you can do those 3 shapes. Okay, so when you're back, there are, I think 3 main ways we can thread the leg through the pole. I'm going to show each of them from a couple of different angles. So the first, this is probably going to suit having your foot quite close to your hand, because you're probably going to want quite a lot of distance, okay? Maybe not really like touching, maybe just a little bit off, but not super high. The higher the foot is, so this is like with my foot high away from my hand, the closer my hips. The lower, the further my hips, okay? So the first option is to thread leading with the foot with the hip really open. So what I mean by that is the knee is open to the side like a book. Now, if your foot is high up the pole for this one, your knee is going to get stuck. So you need your foot to be close to your hand and your bum further back. Imagine my foot staying there, right? This gives me loads more room for my knee to come through, which if I come closer, it's going to get stuck. Okay, my leg can't come through. So for that one is probably going to suit foot closer to hand. So that's like really open. Second is you're still technically leading with the foot, but the knee is going to be more upright. Okay, this is probably the one that will suit most people. And this will suit, depending on your limb length, having the foot higher or just a little bit down, but probably not super close to the hand, okay? Because when we go here and we bring the knee through, okay, while we have more room back here by our hips, closer to the pole, we have less room. And that's where our knee is going to be. It doesn't matter if you fully understand this at this point, right? You just need to know there's different ways of doing it. So if the knee is going to come, so we're going to go foot first, but the knee isn't going to open quite so much. And then it's going to like thread through. We probably actually don't need as much space because we're closer to the pole. The knee open in this position doesn't require the bum to go back. It just requires us to pop it through. Okay, maybe I'm explaining this in a way that isn't the most simple. That's the way I think most of you are probably going to do. Now there is a third way. This is where we lead with the knee. So there's 2 with the foot, 1 with the knee. I'll recap them in a moment. So this way, in theory, probably works with most positions, but probably not super close. Okay, if your foot is too high, you're not going to have much room to do this. But the key with this one is we're going to bring the knee through first, and then we're going to have to turn the hip to bring the leg fully through. So this is probably the hardest in terms of strength, because in order to get the leg through, our hips have to move through with the knee. Okay, so first one was knee open, foot through. Okay, this requires the foot to be lower. Okay, and then we cross it over. So bear in mind when we're crossing our leg, it's fully crossed. I don't have any gap. It's as tight as if I'm trying to hook my knee on the pole and I want no gap behind it. Your leg is your pole. You're really squeezing it tight, okay? So first is foot leading first with the knee open. That's going to require more space, so your foot will be lower. Second way is foot first still, but the knee more up. This is for people who don't have as much flexibility or just prefer to do it this way. It might be more comfortable. This one is kind of moderate and it will depend on limb length. So some of you could have the foot higher, some of you will need it lower. The foot goes first, then the knee threads through, then we hook the leg on to the leg on the pole. Okay, the final way is the knee first. This one, I feel like this one, if your hips are too far back, it's going to be really hard to do from a strength perspective. Like it's going to be hard to hold as you do the movement. So probably sort of middle to further away from the hand. So the knee comes through and the hips are going to turn with that knee. The only way to get your foot through is for your hips to turn. If you don't turn your hips, you'll probably go, oh, my foot's stuck. I can't get my leg through. Okay, so you have to turn the hips to get the leg through, then we hook the leg. So 3 options. In class teaching this, I have noticed different people prefer different ways, and most of the time it's going to be instinctual. Most of the time, not always, probably 90% of the time, you're just going to go for what feels natural for your body and which is going to work best. Okay, so although I've shown you those 3 ways, don't stress too much. And technically, there's more than 3 ways because there's also 3 positions the foot could be in. And although each one favors a particular leg position, it's not always going to be that black and white because we have different limb lengths. Some people have shorter arms to legs and vice versa, which will kind of force the issue of which position they're going to be in. Very complicated, I know. Ultimately, although I've just broken that down for you, don't stress too much. Okay, so just as a side view, this is me in my extended butterfly. Whichever way you're choosing to put your leg through, you're going to do that. It crosses over the foot that is on the pole, the leg that is on the pole, nice and tight. And then it's hard to do here, but you're going to really think about sticking your bum out and arching your back for a beautiful shape. So let's go for left and right. Difficult one to get angles on. So I might have to do, I'm going to do 3 angles on each one. So you've got all of the angles, so you can't miss anything. So let's go back for you first. I would probably watch a few times before you try it. Maybe even watch all of the angles before you even try it. So I'm going to go up. Pole is in my left armpit. Right hand is on top, right side. However you want to set up your extended. My left arm is down, my right hand is up, my right foot is on the pole. My left leg is going to thread through. I go foot, then knee. I'm going to cross and I'm going to arch my back. Now to come out, if you untangle, you could step down. So I was going to show you that. So I've shown you that. Try to be careful doing that with the legs tangled because you might fall weird. Your balance is going to be off. It might not feel good. Okay. Let's go for another angle. So pole is in my left armpit. My left hand goes down. Left leg is back, right leg is on the pole. Left leg comes through. This time I'm going to go with my knee and I'm turning my hip and then bringing my hip back. Cross the leg tight to come out, unhook, and then hook the top leg. So something I just thought of there to remind you of. Once the leg comes through and it's crossed, make sure your body is in an extended butterfly position, like the standard way of doing it, not the aesthetic way of doing it, with your hips facing the pole. So my hips are facing the pole runs down the middle of my body. Because especially if we're doing the hip turny one, we can end up with the hips kind of being wonky, which is not the end of the world. Maybe it's an aesthetic choice. But I think personally it looks better if your hips stay facing the pole. Okay, and we think about the shape coming from the arch of the back as opposed to like turning the hips out, and I think it's easier to hold. Okay, so really important thing to consider. Okay, one more angle and then we'll go for left. So pole is in my left armpit, right hand on top, right leg around the front in my crucifix, or if you're going from Gemini, left hand down into your extended. You might need to adjust your foot on the pole depending on how it works best for you. So foot first, cross, arch the back. If you can, unthread, hook, and however you want to come down. Okay, you can come down however you prefer. Okay, left side. I don't know what's going to happen on this side. Going to be completely honest. My extended on this side is generally pretty good, so we should be okay. My left is catching up to my right. If you followed me since like day one, and a few of you have, you will know that my left side has always been a challenge, because when I started, no one told us we had to do both sides. No one was enforcing that. And what you realize as you get more advanced is there's lots of sequences where you change sides. So you do need to be comfortable to some degree on both sides. And it's just a good training practice to try and be balanced, okay? But you guys have forced me to be better at doing both sides, because I have to film tutorials on both sides in case we've got any lefties, and it is getting better. So it's proof. If you persevere, keep practicing, okay, your left side will improve. Even if it feels like it's not going to, it will. But anyways, I've said that, and now I'm probably going to be horrendous. So we'll see how this goes. So left side, pole in the right armpit, left hand on top. Left leg round the front, right round the back, right hand down, and then we go into our extended. Our left leg is on the pole. The right foot's going to come through and cross over, arch the back and the bum. Take the leg back and come down however you wish. That wasn't actually too bad. It is doable on both sides if you've been practicing both sides to some degree. Okay, let's go for another angle. So pole is in the left armpit. So remember, the left foot will be the one that is on the pole, and the right leg will be the one crossing on this side. Wait a minute, I'm on the wrong side. Pole in the right armpit. That's not a bad thing. It means my sides are getting more equal. I don't know which side I prefer anymore. I don't automatically feel like one side is better. So pole is in my right armpit, left hand on top, invert. Left leg around the front of the pole, right around the back. Head down, right arm down. Right leg back, left leg straightens. My right leg comes through and crosses. I arch my back. Unhook, and then you can step out if you want to. You can rehook, you can go to crucifix, whatever works for you. Okay, one more angle. I feel like you're all going to be fine with this one. If you've got your prerequisites, it is super doable, and you know what, it's super cute. And I honestly don't think I've ever seen this shape until the last couple of weeks. I've been doing pole a long time. Be 14 years this March, so just a couple months and 14 years as a full-time job and hobby and passion. If I have ever seen it before, it's just, I've forgotten. But I honestly don't know that I have. And it's such a simple, beautiful shape. Like, it's so doable. I'm all about beautiful, simple, easy shapes. Like, not that anything in pole is easy, but you know what I mean, comparatively. Who needs some crazy fongy backflip? Who gives a shit? It's boring. And it's horrible and scary. Okay, so pole is in my right armpit. Left leg round the front, right leg round the back, right hand down. Into that extended, right leg is back, left leg is on the pole. Bring the leg through however you want to and cross it over. Bring it back, and then however you want to come out on that side. I just feel safer jumping, because by that point my top hand is starting to slide. Okay, doable, lovely, wonderful. So, as always, if you are struggling, I'm always here to help. So pop me a message. If you can film what you're doing, it makes all the difference, because I have more of a visual and I can give you more tailored response. If you get it, take a picture, take a video. This one is super, super cute. Love it so much. So yeah, get a picture and a video, even if it's just for your personal collection. But if you do choose to post it publicly, please tag me so I can see. I do have to say, sometimes I get tagged and stuff and I don't get notifications for it, even though it's turned on to do that. Sometimes I just don't see stuff. Sometimes I'll be scrolling and a post from 3 weeks comes up, like somewhere randomly on Instagram, and I'm tagged in something I've never seen. So do feel free to actually send it in a message. It's probably I should probably start saying that. Send it to me in a message and then I will definitely see it. Because I love to see what you've been working on, and also like you do better advertising for me than I can. Your kind words, your achievements do more than me saying anything or spending any amount on marketing. And I have to keep a roof over my head. I have to pay my bills. So unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to. I wish I could be a lady of leisure, but alas, that is not my life. So bitter, not bitter at all. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. I'm sure hopefully you've had a lot of fun with this one. And don't forget to train smarter, not harder.